Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. That's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time. I say Abdullahi Arabo. Basically, I will look at it in terms of how do we engage students based on our authenticity of what we do as time goes by. I'll cover 3 basic principles. Firstly is how do you know your audience, who they are, to be able to make things more contextualized to them. Number 2 is how do you be authentic to yourself? How does that drive you to be more engaged with your colleagues? And then number 3 is how to contextualize your lectures and sessions to make them more interesting for them to join you as time goes by. So a bit of context to you. By engagement, I'm referring to engagement not only within the sessions, but also away from it as well. So I'm looking at the point of that, how can I deliver a session that is engaging at the same time when they leave, they are still thinking about that what we have discussed in the session. Also, even before they come to the class, how can they be thinking about that before they even see me in the lecture as time goes by? I'm focusing mainly about my domain in cybersecurity, but actually this can be applied in other fields as well. Although that's my own context for your domain here. So I'm basically referring to as cybersecurity as a domain for you. How do you know your students? Most students comes in the regular tenure sessions and then talk to you, not because they want to see what you are delivering, because we make this available for them online, but because they want to make things personalized to them. So if we all know that we have audience from different countries in our sessions, but how do you, by allowing you to be vulnerable to by knowing them individually what they are doing, how can you tailor the sessions to fulfill their requirements? Not to all of them, but individually at every stage. So by knowing them individually, the cohort, what are the interests, where they're from, their previous experience, their background, that will allows you to give them examples that they can relate to. In that case, they are more captive to what you are talking to them in the sessions. Show some care to them. Show, look, I know what you are going through. I know your background, what you are doing, but that example in my session links to what you might be doing now or in the future as time goes by. To be able to connect with their authenticity. So let them know who you are as individual. And then that way to make them more easier to talk to you, either in the session or away from the session as time goes by. We all find some of them that don't want to engage with you. But as time goes by in your sessions, if you are able to encourage them by having some trigger questions, asking them, okay, oh, by the way, what do you think about that? From you knowing them from the beginning, and that will allow them to give them their own opinion. And don't even stop at one person, probably go into 2 or 3 people and ask them their own opinion about the question, and then put those answers into one solution and explain it to them as time goes by. That will give them a story base. As Sue was saying earlier on, you can be able to engage them by giving them a story on what's going on as time goes by. You can use examples that they can know about. So again, mostly in the UK, we give examples that are either UK or Europe based in our teaching, but our audience, they came from different environments. They don't know about the culture over here or in EU. So what if you mix the cultures around, giving an example that can be personalized to them of where they come from? That will allow them to understand what's going on and engage more with you. So I then provide them an environment that is inclusive. In that way, they can know what's going on and make it easier for them to learn as time goes by. Then that comes back to you as the educator, as the mentor. Mostly, if you show them that you are just there as a lecturer and you don't really show them the vulnerable side of your own self, they might not be able to engage with you either in or out of the session. From experience, what I've been doing, it allows students to stop me in the corridors of the university, saying, oh, by the way, Abdullahi, do you know about A or B that happened last week about security, which I don't know about before, or I know, I didn't discuss it with them. So allowing them to have that one-to-one touch with you, that makes them to be more engaging with you away from the session. And even in the session, they will talk, if you are delivering a content, they will stop you and say, oh, by the way, what about A? A happened, how does that link to what you are doing currently? So that you've been authentic over here allows you to personalize things for them, allow them to participate with you, At the same time, allows them to make things more easier for them to learn with you as time goes by. Although it's a bit tricky to be authentic, not tricky, but you can be authentic, but the vulnerability can be a bit of an issue. So do it in a way that you control it as a mentor, but at the same time, they are able to feel comfortable with you, that they can stop you in the lectures or away from the lecture and discuss with you as time goes by. What I do also, I provide them an online platform that they can ask questions before the lecture as time goes by. Getting to know them, what I do in my first lectures is that I use Mentimeter and Cloud1 and ask them, what do you expect to learn from this module? And I allow them to share their own thoughts. And every session, I grab one or two things that they have said in that first lecture and say, okay, oh, by the way, that's what you have asked me, and that's how it applies into what I'm teaching you currently as time goes by. Then that comes into the materials we deliver. Yeah, we know the syllables, they have all been there for a while, but in cybersecurity as a field, things change every second. So what I'm doing is that everything that I'm doing, I make sure that is more current. I use research and development. I use industry links that I have with me. I apply that in real life situation to allow them understand the fact that what you have been taught, that's how it's going to be linked to you, and how does it appear in real world situation. So that allows them to be more on the edge of the game, so they can apply their solution in real life situation as time goes by. It doesn't just, okay, that's what the textbook says to you, but no, that's what it says to you, but that's how it applies to you in real life situation as time goes by. And that allows them to engage with you. Again, going back to the first point about knowing them, if you know that one or two of them came from this background, then if it's an example that is linked to the industry, they can say, oh, wow, that's how that skill or what you have taught me applies into what I'm doing as time goes by. So that's one. So that over here allows it to be more interesting. And most of the sessions that I deliver, they become more interactive. And not only that, I get stopped in the corridor to ask me what's going on in the field as time goes by. That links to what you do as well in terms of your assessment materials. Yeah. So I use real world examples to allow them to engage with industry. So that in that way, they are allowed to apply the principle that we have learned in the sessions, and that allows them to contextualize what they have learned, and that as a whole make them do better and have better grade in their course in the module. And actually, even after they have finished the module, so I teach both undergraduate and postgraduate. Just on the undergraduate, after they finish the module, even if they are in the university for level 3, then they still come back to me and say, oh, by the way, what about this? So that creates a bit of a discussion point in terms of them engaging with you. I also use Twitter, a hashtag where they give me real-time feedback on what's going on as time goes by. So applying that into real world examples allow it to be more contextualized and allow it to work for them in many ways as time goes by. So that's what I want to share with you. I hope I'm on time. I didn't rush through the slides. It's 10 minutes on dot. Thank you very much for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions if there's any.
Thank you very much. I haven't seen any in the chat, but something you mentioned that students should have a champion. I wasn't sure if that was you getting them to choose their own champion, or do you mean that's you in this context?
Well, it can be me, or it can be somebody else from their background. And so let's say now, if I know them from the beginning and they come from this industry, and I'm able to give an example from somebody in the industry that is linked to them, then they can say, oh, by the way, that's what I want to go into, or that's what I'm doing, and they will see them as someone that they can look up to and say, okay, look, I want to be that person, or me being authentic to them. They'll say, okay, probably Abdullahi is authentic, then why should I be open? You're not be open to my classmate, because if you're not authentic, they struggle to be authentic to you. But if you are, it's okay, look, by the way, that's who am I. I'm vulnerable, that's fine for me. Happy to say I'm wrong. Then they will say, if it's happy to be wrong, then why should I have to worry if I'm wrong? I should ask a question. I don't mind if someone laugh at me in the class. I should ask the question, and then we are out here to learn as time goes by. So it can be in both ways as time goes by.
Thank you. That's very useful. Gives an idea of even more of an idea of your teaching style, which seems a bit like Bob Green was talking earlier about you're getting feedback from the students. In your case, not through QR codes perhaps, but it's a continual two-way process, even if you are the expert and so on, and very clearly so. You're listening.
Well, again, I want to take the word expert you said. I tell them that actually I'm not an expert. I'm here to learn as them.
Very good.
Yeah,
yes.
So
sorry, I shouldn't put those words in your mouth.
Opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not an expert, although I know what I'm doing. But difference between me and them is only experience only. So even them, they come from different background. So in a way, I know not better than them, but I have experience better than them. But if they are wrong, I can tell them that they are wrong because of experience. I think going there as an expert, I tell my students actually, if someone tells you that they are expert, quietly tell them actually no, that's not true, because we are all learners. In my opinion, by the way, with respect to my colleagues, I think we are all learners.
Yeah, if there's a point to university, it's continual learning, isn't it?
Yeah. So if I agree that I'm an expert, they said to me, "Oh, everything what you say is correct." But that's not the case, in my opinion. I can be wrong sometimes. I'm human like them, but I only have more experience than them.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very well put, and absolutely corrected me on the use of that word. Thank you.
Sorry for
Extremely
that.
Good. No, don't apologise. You're absolutely right. I agree completely. Thank you. We are a few minutes short, but that's fine. I think we can have just a few minutes to breathe and let people follow you on Twitter, those who are still using it. As somebody points out, not so many students are these days. And the next two presentations are recorded, so the lecturers aren't here, but I hope we'll have the same engagement from you, even if you can't ask them questions directly. Steve will set those running, but we'll start it closer to 4 o'clock. Just to give you a couple of minutes to think. Absolutely, as Claire Hamlet says, for anyone who hasn't seen it, we are all learners. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, that's a nice summation of that last presentation, although there was a lot more in it than that, of course.